Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sudden Wealth. I do hope you're having a wonderful start of the week. If you do enjoy the content, please consider dropping that like and subscribe. Now, today I'd like to discuss something that has happened a few days ago. You may have seen that the SEC slapped a fine on Citadel of $7 million for $7 million due to some irregularities in their short selling activities. Surprise, surprise. There is something that a major hedge fund is doing, which is not legal, and they get a little slap in the wrist so they can move on and do the exact same thing. Now, yes, the SEC, instead of being concerned about certain cryptos which are clearly not a security, instead of being concerned with that and losing lawsuits after lawsuits, here you have a case where actually you have something tangible to pursue people, and you give them a little 7 million tap in the wrist. All is fine, let's move along. Now, this issue to me is actually twofold. Number one is the fact that these hedge funds keep on doing this kind of illegal activities. So just because I am not a proponent of the whole MOAS conversation around certain garbage stocks, that doesn't mean that I think that Wall Street is clean and that everything is wonderful and everything is just and good for retail investors and that everything that is going on is conspiracy theories. No, I've said this multiple times. There were always weird things with AMC, the fails to deliver, the being on the threshold list for months. All of these things, true, smell very weird. When they removed the buy button for GameStop, when the real short squeeze was happening in the past, all of that is true. There is no conspiracy theory around it. My argument would be, yes, but going from that stage into, there are so many synthetic shares that if they cover, they would destroy the world economy beyond recognition. Now, those two are two different things. Like, for example, you can be right that, without manipulation, this stock would be $5. There's a big difference. Instead of $3 or $4, it would be $5. There's a very big difference between that and, without manipulation, this stock would be $50,000 and it would collapse the entire financial system in the world and the world would come to an end. So those are two different levels of severity, let's call it. And what pisses me off about guys like Gary Gensler is that these are guys who would never succeed in the private world, but they find a way to succeed within the meanderums of public life and government life and quasi-government life, and basically need to appeal and to appease the audience, while at the end of the day, they do not represent you, they do not represent me, they are not here to protect me or you, they are here to protect certain interests, high-level interests in the market, and basically appealing or appeasing the general audience to a minimum where you don't have conflict and riots and actually people do not leave the market. So it's a fine balance that he's trying to strike, and everything that can pose a threat to it, it's basically tried to shut down, like the case with crypto. What he fails to realize is that crypto is too big for him to shut down on his own, and there's something called regulatory arbitrage, in which countries all over the world will succeed. So my fourth point is, it's so funny that this guy is so concerned about legitimate projects on the crypto space, on the innovation side, but then he does a little slap in the wrist to guys who manipulate entire markets. So that is number one. Number two is that this as a cause, this leads into more negative AMC and other MOAS plays issues, which is all of a sudden now it gives an excuse for all the YouTubers to say, you see, this is why we didn't have the MOAS, but now the shorts are forced to cover, and now the SEC is on the side of retail, and now this is going to happen, and that is going to happen, blah, blah, blah. So what this just caused is basically some sort of an argumentation for all these YouTube finance guys who just care about YouTube ad revenue. They just care about you listening to them, hopefully paying for some courses, hopefully paying to belong to some Discord groups, and etc. etc. But now these little fines, which unfortunately are more common than you think, provide a good excuse to why all of their predictions have not been occurring. You see, again, I go back to the same argument. One thing is to say, oh yeah, there are some weird stuff, and the AMC price, instead of, what is it, $7.50 or whatever it is, it should be $8.50. Yeah, there's a big difference between that and being $70,000 per share, right? But the problem is they will use it as fuel for a whole bunch of new videos to discuss the topic. And the idea is not to help you. The idea is not to be your friends. The idea is not to provide any kind of good guidelines or insight. The idea is to collect as much revenue as possible from you. That's all the goal that there is. Now, can AMC have a big run? Yes. Why? Because AMC has still, even after all of this, a strong following. Not as strong as it used to be, but it has a strong following. Which means that if some positive things start to happen around the company, I have no troubles in believing that a lot of the apes will come back and try to buy up the company. The problem is, once they do it, it will open the door for other ones to also jump in, create a little bit of FOMO, and then it gives, again, fuel to all the YouTubers to come up with all their theories. I mean, I just checked the video that was published, I think, a couple of days ago, which is, shorts are forced to cover soon. Now, the question that I ask you is, for how long have you been reading this? The shorts are being forced to cover. 2 years? 2.5 years? I mean, ever since this has started, you see, AMC as other plays were trying to mimic GameStop's original short squeeze. The original, the real one. All the rest is, because people saw what happened with GameStop, they want to believe that it can happen again with other stocks. So let's create a narrative around garbage stocks that are burning cash, almost destroyed, almost bankrupt, like Bed Bath & Beyond, which is finished, and a bunch of others. Let's create the same buzz, and we get in early, we meaning the YouTube influencers, the guys on Twitter, the guys on Reddit, right? We get in early, we convince all those people to buy, to convince them that this is going to be another GameStop, and then we tell them to hold while we sell. We make a lot of money, and then we talk about this stock over and over and over and over and over again. So we make a lot of this passive income from the apes while they hold the bags until the stock went from, like AMC, $73 to the real price, which was around 70 cents, which is the price before the reverse stock split. But my problem with this decision on the SEC is twofold. Number one is just a slap in the wrist. That means nothing. Number two is that it will open the door for all these YouTube guys to basically leverage this situation and to manipulate their audiences once again for a bunch of ad revenue, and will justify everything around it. And unfortunately, the people who will pay the price are, as usual, retail investors, and in this particular case, the AMC apes. So thank you very much, guys, for today, and I'll catch you in the next one.